Hello everybody, it's Non-Scene News here, and today we've got a lot of broken dates today. So the first news is coming from Moscow, where we've gotten more news about the Chinese state visit of Moscow. So as we talked about in my last video, we talked about how the Chinese State Council Premier Li Guang visited Putin. So you can see here in the bottom left corner, you can see how they met, they shook hands. Li Guang stated that he highlighted the steady growth of the Russian economy and emphasized that Beijing's readiness to expand cooperation with Moscow. So we can maybe in the future see more potential cooperation between China and Moscow. After their meeting with Vladimir Putin, the Chinese Premier Li Guang also laid flowers at the unknown soldier tomb. So if you can see here in the bottom left corner, he did that. Today also marks the biggest attack that Ukraine has done on Moscow. So the Russian authorities claim that they shot down at least 45 UAVs near Moscow. So Russia is stating that Ukraine launched the biggest attack on Moscow since the start of the war. So very interesting news. We've also got news that are coming from pro-Ukrainian channels that Russian users have been reporting problems with Telegram, Steam, WhatsApp and other resource platforms, and even VPNs. So I don't know what's happening here. This might be fake, but who knows. So you can see here in the bottom left corner, down detector is stating this. So very interesting news. Now let's go to Siberia, where Russia has opened up another NATO showcase of equipment. So if you can see here in the bottom left corner, you can see how Russia has put vehicles and armored vehicles on showcase. So if you can see here, we can see some US Bradleys, some Max Pros, and probably the most important, you can also see an A1 Abrams tank. So obviously it's been probably resprayed and stuff. We see some German armored vehicles. They also showcase guns. So Russia opens up another NATO showcase. Now let's head to the Kursk front line, the Kursk front. So obviously if you keep track of the ground news in Ukraine, and if you listen to Ukrainian reporters, they already probably have showed you this map here in your bottom left corner that came from the chief of the army command, Suski. So you can see here in the bottom left corner, he released a map of Ukrainian gains in the Kursk front. So if you can see, it's quite a large expansion, and Russia has also reported that it's down to Ukrainian Su-27 in the region of the Kursk region. So apparently an Ukrainian Su-27 was in the air of the Kursk region into Russia, and it was shot down. Now let's head to probably one of the most important updates today. So if we remember the visit of Lindsey Graham that visited Kiev, I'm pretty sure it was probably a couple of weeks ago now, but he visited Zelensky and he stated that Ukraine should hire retired NATO F-16 pilots. So it seems now Ukraine has actually taken this advice. So we've gotten some news coming from the Voice of America that Ukraine invites retired NATO pilots who can fly F-16s to serve. So according to the information, this was announced during the visit to Kiev by the US Senator Lindsey Graham, as we stated. But apparently this is not so easy for retired military pilots to sign up as volunteers, and permissions from the governments of the alliance countries is required for this. So these F-16 retired pilots have to get permission from the NATO countries to do this, and obviously the NATO countries would obviously take this and look at this and probably say this is a massive escalation towards Russia. Probably not, I don't know, but Ukraine is now officially looking apparently for NATO retired F-16 pilots, which will probably be many to pick from. Now let's continue the news coming from Kiev. So Zelensky acknowledges record of outflow of Ukrainians. According to Zelensky, there are millions and millions of citizens abroad. The Ukrainian president stated that the refugees are deprived of cultural connection with their country. He also announced the creation of a new ministry that would work with the Ukrainians who left. So obviously Zelensky is trying to get back the people who left Ukraine, which if you just go to numbers that even Western media's publish, they're millions. So even Zelensky said, according to him, there are millions of citizens abroad. So he's making a new plan to try and get these people back and give them benefits. Now we've gotten some news coming from Joseph Borrell. So Joseph Borrell stated that lifting restrictions on Western weapons strikes on Russian territory to advance peace efforts. So very interesting developments, and the last political news coming from Ukraine is that the Indian Prime Minister Modi calls for the restoration of peace before his visit to Ukraine and announced that he would share prospects for ending the war with Russia. So there you go. And while talking about and on the topic of the Prime Minister of India, Modi, we've also got visited that Modi has landed in Poland. So the Indian Prime Minister Modi is just landed in Poland. So this is a big visit, and we'll obviously get the full results in tomorrow's video about this meeting with Modi and the Polish authorities. But this is the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Poland in 45 years. Now let's head to Hungary, where we've got news coming from the Foreign Minister of Hungary, Peter. So the Hungarian Foreign Minister, Peter, announced that the country is close to finalizing negotiations to secure its supply. This comes as obtaining oil and gas from Russia. So if you guys remember, we talked about this a lot in really old previous videos, but we had news that Ukraine blocked Russian oil coming from Russia, from Belarus, from Ukraine to Hungary, that was feeding Hungary and Slovakia Russian oil and gas, and Ukraine blocked this pipeline. But now it seems that Hungary is pretty close of reaching an agreement to resume the oil and gas from Russia, from the company of Lukoil through Ukraine. So apparently it's nearly finished and it's close to a full-on agreement. And I'll be very sure to keep you updated on that. We've also got news coming from the Czech President. So the Czech President stated that if Nord Stream was blown up by Ukraine, it was a legitimate target, stated the Czech President. The Czech Parliament has also called for an investigation into the activities of Orthodox churches in the country. This demand was made by members of the Upper House Security Committee. So, very interesting news, and obviously this will probably be Russian Orthodox churches, so I'll keep you updated on that. We've also got news coming from the Chancellor of Germany. So the Chancellor of Germany stated that Ukraine was preparing an attack in the Kursk region, but secretly and without feedback. So Scholz is stating that Germany had no involvement in the planning or any feedback in what Ukraine was going to do in the Kursk region. So there you go. We've also got news coming from the German defense company of Rheinmetall. So Rheinmetall has failed to fulfill a contract to supply Poland with 155mm shells. So the agreement for the delivery of 50,000 shells was signed in 2022, but Warsaw has not received a single shell to date. The contract was supposed to be executed by a subcontractor, the South African company of Rheinmetall. However, the South African government actually blocked the deliveries, fearing that the ammunition would end up in Ukraine. So the German defense company has failed to supply Poland with even a single piece of shell. So there you go, because of South Africa blocked it. So there you go. Now let's head to the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So the North Sea oil officials warns that the UK tax is pushing drilling to Norway. So the North Sea Gas Company says that it is considering pulling out of Britain and look at establishing itself in Norway because of the UK's increasing heavy tax. So there you go. So these companies might be heading to Norway, which will be, if this happens, if this is all true, then this will be a heavy blow to the United Kingdom. So there you go. Now we've got news coming from Anthony Blinken in the Middle East. So we talked about how Anthony Blinken visited the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. So they talked about peace agreements, and yesterday we talked about how Israel doesn't have intentions to leave certain zones in Gaza, which is I'm pretty sure, if I remember at the top of my head, I think it's the Philadelphia line corridor, which actually is this whole place here, if I get this right. So it completely blocks the Gaza Strip from Egypt, and I think it was called the Nazarene corridor, which I think is somewhere around here. Don't quote me on that. I'm just giving you a rough sketch. But Anthony Blinken stated that he would not accept a long-term Israeli occupation of Gaza. Now let's head to Lebanon, where we've got some pretty big news coming from this city here. So we've got news that another Hezbollah leader was assassinated. So the Hezbollah sources are stating that Israel launched a strike and a secret operation to take out one Hezbollah's leaders, commanders of this brigade here. You can see here in the bottom left corner, I've captioned it because I can't pronounce this. So he's been confirmed deceased. So the apparently Israeli intelligence has managed to take this man out. Now let's head to Iraq, where Iraq has actually got some intentions to buy some Pakistani jets. So the jets that I'm talking about is the F-16 jets. So these are multi-rolled jets. So you can see here in the bottom left corner, these are the jets that I'm talking about. So Iraq has shown intentions to purchase some F-17 Thunder Block 3 jets to boost its defense capabilities during a high-level delegation visit to Pakistan, the Air Force stated. So we can probably potentially see in the near future Iraq to buying some of these jets. So very interesting developments. The last news coming from the Middle East is that the aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln has arrived in the Middle East as the US builds up military presence in the region. So if you can see here in the bottom left corner, the aircraft carrier arrived in the Middle East and will be conducting operations to deter forces from attacking Israel, obviously. And we've got news coming from Yemen. So the United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations reports that an attack has actually taken place in the Gulf of Aden. So the captain of the ship reports at least 5 explosions near the ship, but no damage noticed. So the early reports are stating we got a warning that an attack has happened on some trade ships. So this is probably the Houthi forces that are doing this. So we'll probably get the full story at the end by the next video. Now let's head to the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So the WHO launches emergency response as Mpox outbreaks resurges in the DRC. So Mpox, as well also known as monkeypox, is now been spreading throughout the country. So at least 18,000 cases have been reported in the DRC, with at least 500 deaths attributed to the virus. Over 70% of these cases have been reported among children. So the World Health Organization, aka the WHO, is working to ensure a proper response to curb the spread of the virus. Now let's head to China. We got some news coming from Beijing. So if we guys remember yesterday that we got news that Biden approved a secret nuclear strategy refocusing on the Chinese threat. So we talked about yesterday how Biden approved a secret nuclear strategy refocusing on the Chinese threat in a classified document approved in March. The President of the United States, Joe Biden, ordered the USA to prepare for possible coordinated nuclear confrontations with Russia, China, and North Korea. So now we've actually got a response from China. So the Chinese response to Biden's new nuke strategy is that the US is the world's largest creator of strategic risk, the Chinese Foreign Ministry stated, commentating on reports of the newly approved US nuke strategy. The US is promoting the Chinese nuclear threat theory to evade its disarmament commitments, Beijing noted. And probably one of the biggest news today is that Kennedy is going to address the nation. So RFK Jr. is probably going to be dropping out of the presidential race, the rumors are stating. We've also got news coming from a Trump rally where Trump claims that the US is short on ammunition. So if you want to watch the video, here it is.
We have no ammunition at the time. We're the United States of America. You know why? We gave it all up to Ukraine and various other places. We gave them everything. Empty our warehouses of all of our ammunition. Let's give it to people free of charge. Free of charge. Costs billions. Free of charge. Everything's always free of charge. So after years of horrific depletion with the comrade, sending our missiles and airplanes, ammunition to other countries, I will make a historic investment in rebuilding the U.S. Armed Forces. I did that once before, but I have to do it again because they've depleted it, just like they've depleted the strategic oil reserves, you know.
We've also got news that a huge Democrat rally has taken place, obviously for Kamala Harris and Waltz, her running mate. So if you can see here in your bottom left corner, huge amount of people actually showed up, and a lot of political figureheads, including former presidents. So I'm pretty sure Bill Clinton was there, Barack Obama was there. I know she wasn't a president, but Hillary Clinton was there. A lot of Democrat leaders were there to talk and show their support to Kamala Harris. So there you go. And that's all the news I actually have for you today. I am Non-C News. I'll try and provide you news that the medias around the world do not show you. I do these videos hopefully daily, so consider subscribing and liking. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye. Bye.